when I started and when you guys see me, but welcome to day 3 of the protein challenge. If you are just joining and you can hear me and see me, then we're all good. If you cannot, then just let me know in the comments and I will restart the chat. But I'm so excited that you guys are here. You guys have made it to day 3 of the challenge. Oops, I have an echo there. I was checking to make sure that we're live, and we are. So I'll shut that off. You guys, day 3 of the challenge. Just started day 3. So obviously, if you are just joining us and you're like, what? Day 3? I missed it. You haven't missed anything. Literally, this is day 3, like just the start. So the email for day 3 just went out this morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are just joining us, you can still hop in. Just go to eatmoretorwaitless.com/protein, and that will give you all the information. You'll get login information to the 7-day challenge portal, as well as that's where everything's going to be. So all of your daily videos, daily tasks, your guidebook and calendar for the 7 days will all be at this link here. So I know those of you guys who are inside the portal, this link is different. So I'm saying that in all of the videos there too, and this link is different, but this is the actual link to go to eatmoretorwaitless.com/protein. That will get you into the challenge. So that way, if you're just joining, you can still get caught up. We just started day 3. As soon as you log in, you'll be able to see day 1 immediately. And you'll also get the email for day 3's challenge. And like I said, the guidebook will give you the whole recap anyway. So that's kind of where we are right now. So day 1, we shopped. And then yesterday we focused on planning. So we did a pre-planning exercise where we went into empty days of your MyFitnessPal diary or whatever you use to log your information and pre-planned it. So this is a tip that I suggest adapting like from here on out, because it is one of the easiest ways to make sure that you actually hit the goal. So like your chances of nailing your protein when you do it that way are so much higher because of the fact that you've actually like seen it. You've visually looked at the fact that it's there in writing. This is what it's going to take for me to reach my goals. So that is what day 2 was all about, was really just introducing that. And like I said, I introduced multiple methods of that, not only in the email, but in the video of the day as well. So hopefully you guys are logging into the portal and watching these videos that go along with everything, because of the fact that it's so much information in there that I'm trying my best to not reiterate it here. So I see comments, just making sure I'm not missing you guys' comments. So one of the things that I'm trying to do on these is just be here for the check-in, hold you guys accountable to saying like, yeah, are you still with me? It's on day 3. So one of the things that a lot of ladies know that have gone through my coaching is that typically there's this dip whenever you're doing like a course or coaching or challenge. Like there's always this kind of like midpoint dip where you kind of fall off a little bit, but I'm letting you know that that's happening so that you can rein it in. Come on back. So like I said, if you're just joining, go ahead and do those challenges. And what we're doing is that every single time you post, either under the daily check-in post of the day or inside of the portal, wherever you're posting at. If you're posting somewhere on social media and you're doing hashtag EM2WL protein challenge, wherever you're posting at, every time you share that you've done the task of the day, you are entered into a giveaway. So I mentioned that on day 1, I believe, when I went live on Sunday. So that is one of the things that we are talking about today. And that is the giveaway winner for days 1 and 2. Day 3 has not been included. So like I said, those of you guys who are just joining, you can still chime in and get it. So like I said, you get an entry for every single time you post. So even if you come in now on day 3 and you go back and you post on day 1 and day 2 and day 3, you will still get an entry into the giveaway. So today's giveaway is for a Starbucks gift card, which hopefully the winner of this has access to a Starbucks somewhere, because if you do not, then we will have to work something else out. I understand that we're all in different parts of the country, so that may or may not work for you. So I'm going to bring it up. And you guys, these are completely random. So I don't even know who it is before I look at it. And today's winner is Donna Glass. So Donna, I don't even think you're on Facebook, but we are streaming live to both Facebook and YouTube. So maybe you're over on YouTube, Donna. I know that you've been posting over inside of the portal. You've been checking in. So Donna, if you are with us on either of these platforms, then shout out to you. If not, and you're watching the replay later, someone on the team will be reaching out to you to get your information so that you can get your gift card. So we are giving away things all throughout the challenge. So like I mentioned, we're doing a Starbucks gift card, Amazon gift card, and the grand prize, should you believe it is a grand prize, is a one-on-one call with me. Now, those of you guys who have had calls with me before or inquired about calls with me before know that I do charge $500 an hour. So like I said, if that is something that you would like, then make sure you continue participating inside the challenge. We will get on a one-on-one call and you'll get this opportunity to ask me maybe private questions that you don't want to post in groups, or you have like your fat loss plan and you want us to go over it. Like it's anything goes. We can talk about whatever during your time if you win that. So Donna, if you're here, if you're on YouTube, if you're seeing this later in the group inside of the portal, congratulations on your giveaway. So like I said, the last 2 days we have done shopping and planning, which those are always going to be the catalysts for anything that you're trying to do. So as I mentioned when we talked on Sunday, everything that is inside of this challenge is based on what it takes to lose weight and keep it off. So these aren't just random things that we're doing. These are all based on a study that was done about people that successfully lose weight and keep it off. So one of the main things that we know is protein is going to be a key factor. But one of the other things that we know is that somebody who actually like keeps track and has like this like adherence to what they're doing, and they're paying attention, they're self-aware to what they are actually putting into their mouths every day, are the people that are more successful long-term. So it's very easy to go on, quick fix fad diets where you remove something completely from your diet, or you just like avoid something for a certain amount of time, or you pre-order food and don't really understand the rhyme or reason for how it all comes together. So that's the reason why we did both the shopping and the planning as the original parts of this challenge, because you're going to be using those for the remainders of the challenges. So for all the other things that we're doing. So today's, we actually talked about smoothies and shakes and inserting those. And there's a whole, there's a whole lesson that goes with this, a whole rant, ramble, teaching moment that is inside of your portal. And I really hope you guys go and watch that, because like I said, I don't want to completely reiterate everything that I said in there, but if you're somebody who loves or hates protein shakes, or you're like, this isn't that big of a deal, I highly, highly recommend watching that. Not to mention, I also break down different types of protein in that particular video. So I talk about whey versus soy versus vegan proteins, and, how to choose them and which one works best for you. So if you're curious about different types of protein, or you're just like, I just go in the store and grab whatever protein powders I see or whatever protein shakes that I see, that video is really going to help break that down for you, because there is a difference. There's a difference in how your body digests them. There's a difference in how they work together for your goals. There's obviously differences in price. There's differences in how much protein is in each one. So that video for the day 3 video is going to be super, super helpful for you guys. So I do hope that you watch that. But on that note, one of the things that I talk about in that video and in today's post inside of the group is kind of this aversion that I used to have to protein shakes, mainly because it was protein powder. Remember, I have been doing this for a very long time. So pre-made shakes weren't really a thing when I first started, it was all about powders. There were some like random weird isolate drinks they were all very, very disgusting, very upsetting to the stomach and things like that. So I drew this long, hard line in the sand where I was like, I'm never gonna have protein shakes. Like they're just horrible. They're disgusting. Because they were very like bro bodybuilder type shakes. And because of that, I went for years, like always feeling like I was falling short of my goals. And this is even as a trainer and somebody who's like preaching eat more to weigh less from the rooftops and all the things. So one of the videos that I shared last week, and I shared that over on the main page, is a flashback to one of the videos that I started preparing when I got on this whole like protein kick of like, oh my gosh, I actually did the things, increased the protein, and I'm seeing these results. So for me, it was such a huge shift. There was like, I was always teetering in, you know, this body fat percentage range that like wasn't bad, but wasn't like, it wasn't my goal, but it was good enough in that moment. I, you know, had a family, I was a homemaker. So there was just a lot going on there that it just wasn't that serious to me. So in that moment, I thought that, you know, I had plenty of time to try to figure out all these workarounds to the fact that, you know, protein kept coming back at me. It kept coming staring at me in the face. And so I did. I beat around that bush for as long as I possibly could. And then one day, this question. This is the question that I asked myself of like, okay, you've given yourself this, because I did. I gave myself this time period of like, you know, while I'm still like at home and cooking most of my family's meals and baking things and just really trying to enjoy this time as a family. Like this whole goal body thing is like not that important. Like it would be really cool if it happened, but it's not that important to me, you know? And I think that is the first realization that a lot of women need to get to, is kind of like teetering this line where like on one hand, they really, really want the thing. But then on the other hand, they're like, oh, but I just want to like enjoy my life and all those things. So like, is there a happy medium between the two that you can get okay with? Or are you going to spend so many years of your life like not really enjoying it, but also like being really irritable about what you see in the mirror and, you know, and the fact that like you've been chasing after this goal for so long and things just aren't happening for you. So first of all, it's asking like the question of, do I even really want this, and getting okay with the answer, because so many women are afraid to say yes. And so many women are afraid to say no. Like it goes both ways. So a lot of times we're so afraid to say like, yes, I really want this, because maybe there's these beliefs or, you know, our community that we're around or society or whatever is telling us that like, you know, it's vanity to want these things, or like, oh, you don't love your body if you like want to change it. And there's just all of these things that could be getting in the way of you admitting that you really want it. And that could stop you from actually being willing to do what it takes. And then there's this flip side of like society kind of feeding you the fact that you should want it, you know, and that like everywhere you look and on movies and magazines and, you know, whatever in your imagination, like everyone else has like magically reached their goals and you're the only person on the planet who has not. And so even though it may not actually be that important to you at this phase of life, it's really hard to say, you know, an answer to the question of, do I really want this? It's really hard to say no, because you feel like the answer should be yes. You feel like I should, you know, I should want to be more healthy or whatever the thing is. And neither of those answers are right or wrong. It's about where you are in that moment in time. And it's about the freedom that you get from actually answering the question. So that is the first thing that I would look at, especially after you watch the video. A lot of what I'm saying will make more sense after you watch that video that's inside of your portal. Is that if you don't really want it that bad right now, the answer to this question will be no, which means that you may set yourself up to do the things. You may, for instance, join a 7-day protein challenge and not participate at all. You may, you know, go purchase the starter kit and sign up for courses and coaching and things like that that I have, or from another coach, or, you know, like you may just like keep watching YouTube videos and Googling things and bookmarking things and pinning things and doing all of the research in the world, but never actually getting moving. You will not actually do what it takes because it is not actually that important to you. So being able to answer the first question allows you to accept the answer to the second question, because the reality of it is if you're not doing what it takes to reach XYZ goal, then that kind of answers the first question on its own. You don't really want the thing. And that is 100% okay. It's 100% okay to say, like, you know what? My kids are all under the age of 5, and I just like want to be here and be in this moment and not be freaking worried about what I'm, you know, every morsel of food that goes in my mouth, logging every single little thing, you know, not going with them to the beach or whatever the case may be. Like, maybe you're like, I just want to live in this moment. And, you know, I give myself freedom that when they're 10, 15, 20, whatever the case may be, to like come back to this again and see, and or to be like slowly building habits that don't interrupt my life and these things that I want as much, so that once I'm at that point, I can like jump into action. This is something that I shared recently on those of you guys that are on YouTube now, or those of you guys who have not seen it, in a series that I recently did where I was interviewing one of my clients, Athena. And this was something that she went through, of really leaning into this part of her life where her children were young. And she was like, I'm just going to spend this time building up the habits that I need for when I am ready to like really get after this goal. And once she got to that point, and I came to her and said, hey, so remember you said that at this point you would reconsider, like, what are you thinking? Is this still a goal that you want? And at that time she was like, yeah, it actually is. And because of the work that she had been putting in along the way, because she had been taking the time to get consistent with her exercise, get consistent with getting in enough steps, get consistent with, you know, lifting the amount of times that she had needed to be lifting each week, getting consistent with being inside of a periodized program, getting consistent with her protein. When it came time and she said, you know what, let's go for it. Like, let's freaking do it. Like, I put it off. I don't really have excuses anymore. It's something that I really want now. And then we did it. And it was so much easier than if she had just been pushing for it all that time. Because pretty much like at this point, 8 to 10 years had gone by. She got the chance to enjoy her family while building up the habits, but not in an unobtrusive way, not in a way that had her like standing on the scale every single day, you know, mad and not enjoying each day because of whatever the scale said. She just allowed the scale to do its thing. She just leaned into the behaviors that she could. And when the time came, like, she jumped right in, lost 30 pounds, and that was that. And now she's in Greece as we speak. So I'm sure you're not on here right now, Athena, watching this, but she is in Greece on a vacation with her family. Like, she did it. So it's really the actual getting the results part, the actual follow through is not as hard as it seems once we get to this point. It's the lurking around this point. It's the, I kind of want it, but I kind of don't. I want it if it's easy. I don't want it if it's hard. Like that whole back and forth seesaw thing that gets in the way of you getting the results that you want. So like if you're at a place where like, you're like, I know I need more protein, but nah, it's all right. Like, and you have all of these other excuses around it. The excuse behind the excuse behind the excuse is that you don't really want it. And that's okay. And because you don't really want it, you're not willing to do what it takes right now. If you put right now on the end of all those things, it might make it a little bit easier to swallow. Like, I don't really want that right now. Like, it's not that important to me right now. I'm not willing to do what it takes right now. It gives you the freedom to say, like, maybe at some point I will want to do what it takes. And when that point comes, I'm going to dive in 100%. So that's the reason why I'm saying this to you guys, because having experienced it myself, having seen so many clients experience it, another good example is On Sunday, I think I was talking about Dana, who again is one of my clients. I don't know if you're on here, Dana. I was showing her grocery haul, saying like, look how she prepared to be able to like go on vacation and do all the things. Dana is currently eating about 180, 190 grams of protein a day in a cut phase. She's definitely shedding fat, holding on to her muscle, all the things, like everything that we want during a cut phase. Slow and steady doing it. Dana, as she posted in her post yesterday, was protein averse for a really long time. 70 grams, 80 grams, like on a good day. When we first met, she was just like, I don't eat chicken. I don't eat this. I don't eat that. I don't do that. I don't need that much protein. I have, different stomach issues. I'm not gonna put all your stomach issues out there, Dana, in case you're watching. But like I can't digest things well, all the things. So there was all of these reasons and excuses around why she couldn't hit her protein goal. She went through my group coaching programs. Like, we've known each other for a while, right, Dana? So now she's eating 100 grams more than that. So at one point, she's saying like it's over 70 to 80 grams is impossible. Now she's eating 180 grams. Like, and the thing is that it was literally like, boom, it was a decision. Did she start eating 185 grams like overnight from that point? No, it was overnight from this point. It was when we got on a call and talked about like working together one-on-one. And she was like, I'm ready to do this. I'm committed. I'm in it. Like, I'm done playing around. I'm the age that I am. Again, I'm not putting all your stuff out there, Dana, but she was hitting a milestone age. And she's like, I'm just ready to do this. Like, Dana 2.0, let's go. So the big question that I said is, you already know. You know the elephant in the room. It's this protein. Are you willing to do what it takes? She said yes. So after the coaching interview, I'm like, all right, I think you're a good fit. Let's do it. This is what I'm looking for from you, though. You have to eat the calories that I say to eat. You got to eat the protein that I say to eat. We're not playing around with it. Once we get into the cut phase, which we went through a couple of other phases, we went through like a rehabilitation phase because she had a surgery. Once we got into the cut phase, that's one of the things that my clients know. If you're cutting with me, you hit it immediately. You're not playing around in a cut because there's too many dangers of being in that cut phase. You can lose muscle, your metabolism can slow down. There's all these things that can happen. So I'm not willing to work with people that aren't willing to do what it takes because I want them to see the results, but I don't want them to do all this metabolic damage to them. So when we got in that cut phase, I'm like, all right, this is it. Are you sure? January 10th or whatever the date was, like we kept announcing the date. I'm like, on this date, we hit the ground running. You get this much protein in, period, end of story. Are you ready? Are you willing to do what it takes? She said yes. Boom, 185 grams, didn't look back. Are you kidding me? And I mean, every single time, all of these clients, like when they do that, I'm like, who are you? Like, literally, who are you right now? Like, I know because you have told me all of the reasons why you couldn't do this for so long. I know that this was something that was like unrealistic for you for years. Like, it's just not possible, Kiki. I just can't do it, when we're in a different setting. But when they get to that point, when the answer to, do I really want it, is yes. The answer to, am I willing to do what it takes, becomes yes. And then guess what? They freaking do what it takes. So that is always going to be the way that like you can analyze for yourself. If you're at the point where something that you're doing, and I'm not saying that it becomes easy. Hitting 185 grams of protein is not easy for Dana. It's just who she is right now because of the fact that she wants it now. Before, it was theoretical. It was figurative. Now, this is the goal. This is what I'm doing. This is what it takes. So I'm going to do it. And that shift makes things happen so much faster than the like beating around the bush about it and like hemming and hawing about like, well, maybe I'll do something else. And maybe I'll intermittent fast. And maybe I'll just try keto. And maybe like all these other things that we try in the meantime, because of the fact that we don't want to do what it takes, because we don't really want it that much. We want it to happen like just naturally. Like I want to do nothing and get a result. I don't want to actually be all in. And there's different reasons for that. Like I say, it could be because you're holding these two things of like, I don't really want it, but society says I want it, or I really don't want it, but society says I should want it. You know, like I really just want to like live my life and be the size that I am, but people think that I'm unhealthy. So like, it could be something like that. It could also be fears of like, I don't want to try this and fail. I'm so worried about not being able to do it right that I'm not going to start at all. So there's all of these different mindset things that come into play. And that's what I put in today's post, is that it's always going to be mindset first. You can have all of the tools. You can, I'm literally giving you the tools for what it takes to hit your protein. Every single thing that I'm teaching you inside of this challenge, if you're paying attention, if you're watching the videos, if you're doing the steps, and you aim to hit the amount of protein that you need for your goals, you will hit the amount of protein that you need for your goals, and you will hit your goals, period. End of story. Like the hitting the goals part is not as hard as we make it to be. It's this part that's harder than we make it to be. And a lot of times we think that we're willing to do what it takes because of our diet mentality. Like we're willing to like torture ourselves for a minimal amount of time to get it, or we're willing to like sacrifice something for a short period of time. Like we're not talking about that willing to do what it takes, like because it's rewiring to understand that doing what it takes could be something completely different than what you think. It could mean creating a habit to do something for like ever that you've been avoiding for a long time. Because that's the thing too, is that when you're deciding to do this, remember the whole basis of Eat More to Weigh Less is that your body always adapts. So you're not going to do anything that you're not willing to keep up long term. So that willingness to do something, the willingness to do something that might not be what you think, because it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm willing to do, 3 hours a day of cardio. Like, are you willing to do that forever? If not, then that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about like, are you willing to do the things that you've been avoiding? So that could be, for some people, it's a type of workout. For some people, it's like lifting. For some people, it's eating enough. For some people, it's doing a metabolism reset. For some people, it's doing a metabolism reset for long enough. For some people, it's, getting body composition scans and stuff like that to make sure that what you're gaining or losing is muscle or fat based on whatever you're trying to do. So a lot of times we will hear things, and this just means that it's just a blind spot. It just means that like at certain points in our journey, you will hear something. It will either go over your head, it will either go in one ear and out the other, or it'll kind of marinate for a little bit, but you'll set it aside, and then typically you'll come back to it. So there's these different stages of understanding that, like, when you're this constant search for the perfect thing could be the thing that's holding you back, because it's not about a ton of different steps. It's about doing 2 to 3 things and freaking knocking those things out of the park. Protein is one of those things. So if this is speaking to you at all, then good. Hopefully you're either making the decision that like, yeah, I need to really step into this because I do want this. Or maybe you're making the decision of like, yeah, it's not that serious. This is really not that serious to me. And that's okay too. So this could be the opportunity to say like, I'm going to give myself some time to slowly build up this habit so that when it is that serious to me, like I'm ready, but it's not something that like I need to get like, Dana or Athena level serious about and like, boom, hit it tomorrow and no looking back. Like maybe it's not that serious yet to you because of the fact that you need some time to slowly get things up. And like I said, in the case of both of those 2 examples that I gave you of Dana and Athena, they did it slow. They didn't go from 0 to 100, they didn't go from 70 to 185. She dabbled in it and slowly got it to a reasonable amount. It just wasn't where it needed to be for her cut. So by the time we got to that point, because she knew that it was going to be of importance someday, she had probably gotten it up to, I would say around like 120 on average, maybe like 140 being a high day. So it wasn't that much of a leap, but it was a leap, and she did it. So think about it from that perspective. Think about like where your motivation level is with it. If your motivation level is really, really low, then look around at why you're even doing it in the first place. And is this a habit that you're trying to build for later when you are going to be all in, when you revisit this? Or is this something that like you're trying to aim for now? Because if you're somebody who is in a fat loss phase right now and you're not hitting enough protein, then you're actually doing more damage than good, because of the fact that you're going to be losing muscle, you know? And we've even with my clients, it's the same thing. Like, because of the fact that when we ask this question of, are you willing to do what it takes? That also means for them getting body composition scans. And so that we know, so that if they don't hit their protein goals and we get that scan and it says they lost muscle, and I'm like, well, there you go. Like, because of the fact that you have the scans, it's showing you the results of your actions. A lot of times we're hiding from these results and we're saying like, well, I don't really, you know, whatever. I don't have access to it, which is fine. If you like literally don't have access to body composition scans, I know we're all over the world, even though they are becoming more common now. But if you're somebody that's what you're trying to do, you're trying to rebuild your metabolism, you're trying to rebuild lost muscle mass, like, how do you know if you're rebuilding it? Like, you can't just take a random calorie amount and a random workout and say, what's done? Like, I did it. Like, you don't know. So that's one of the things that I would definitely suggest for you guys. As you're thinking through, as you're going through this process, really asking yourself why you're in it, how committed you are to it, and just putting some of these tips in your back pocket if it's not something that's for now. Like, execute them in a challenge. Yes, be part of the challenge. Take advantage of the energy of other people doing it with you, but also recognize, like, start taking note of your behavior and the things that come up when something comes up and you're like, oh yeah, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. So one of the examples that I would say for some of you guys who are like just getting started, if you're just joining the challenge, which I have the link up, I'll throw it up again just really quickly. If you're just joining the challenge, an example of this could be like day one when you go to get your protein. Because remember, we're looking at this from the perspective of what got you here won't get you there. So when you're going to get your protein for the week on day one, you're doing your shopping. A good example of this is looking at how much protein you actually bought. Like, that's going to kind of give you an idea of how you're going to do over the week, or your intentions of what you're going to do over the week. So an example of this is that a lot of people will get like a couple of whatever packs of meat or whatever. Like, say you're a meat eater and you get like a pound of whatever ground beef. You get a couple of containers of Greek yogurt and protein powder or something like that. The way that you want to think about it is like, let's say that your protein goal is 150 grams. If your protein goal is 150 grams, that means that when you go shopping, if you're getting your haul for the week to hit that goal, that means 150 times 7 should be your haul. That means that the amount of protein that you're gathering during your shopping trip should be whatever that is. So let's see, 150 times 7 is 1050. So 1,050 grams of protein should be your haul, because that means now you literally have a sufficient amount to hit that goal every single day. But if you go out and, like I say, you only get like 1 pound of something that's whatever, 25 grams of protein per serving, you only got 100 grams. That means you still need 950 more grams of protein to come from somewhere. Like, it's not going to be enough to supply you for the week to get everything that you need. So just like little things like that help you to see and help you to break down whether or not you got an actual enough, or if you got like what your brain thinks is enough. So a lot of times, like, that's the way, because of the fact that we're like, well, there's protein, that should be good enough. If you know what your goal is and you plan your shopping trip accordingly, that's a good way for you to know whether or not you actually set yourself up for success. So that is where like what we did yesterday comes into play on a bigger scale. So the same way that when we did the pre-planning, you're able to look at your day as a whole and see like, okay, what all would I need to actually eat in a day in order to hit it? You're going to be much more successful in hitting it versus just going through the day and kind of plugging things in and saying I had some protein at every meal, and then come to find out some was about 10 to 15 grams, when in actuality, you probably needed to average about 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal in order to hit that goal. So looking at things from that perspective, those are a lot of the tips that we're working with in day 1 and 2. And then for the next couple of days, we're working more from that perspective of like, are you willing to do what it takes? So that's where we're talking more about like how we're sneaking things in. So that's what today's was about, was really sneaking in protein, however, in a shake, in a taco, in a baked potato, whatever the case may be, to make sure that you hit your goals. So just some little tidbits there for those of you guys who are just joining, a little bit of a cheat sheet for making your day 1 work. And remember, you can still take part in the giveaway even if you're just joining. So if you're just joining, just go through the days, whether you do them all in one day or you do them day by day. We'll do the last giveaway next Tuesday, so that way you actually have enough time to get caught up if you join late, and just check in on the threads. So today's winner, Donna, actually was checking in on the portal. So she's not even on Facebook. I don't know. Maybe you're on Facebook, Donna, but you're posting inside of the portal. It doesn't matter. They all work however you check in. So just make sure for each day you are actually participating and showing that you did the thing. So our next live check-in is going to be Thursday, the 11th. So those of you guys who maybe came in at the end of this, or you missed our first 2, you can join in that one. Or if you're joining every single one and you're just rocking it out with me, that's awesome. I'll be able to see you guys on Thursday as well. If you have any questions about the challenge or about anything that I talked about today, you can always put them below in the comment section here, and I'll come back. You can post them in the group and I'll come back. Like, I'm all over the place, like looking at wherever you guys are posting, and my team is capturing wherever you guys are posting your check-ins at, so that you are put in this random giveaway. So today's giveaway was a Starbucks gift card. We'll also be giving away an Amazon gift card and a one-on-one call with yours truly as your grand prize. So thank you everybody who has been participating. You guys who are just joining and you have questions that you want answered live, if you want to post them and I will answer them in our next check-in. And today's was smoothies. If you haven't already posted on that, then make sure that you are. Okay, let's see. Angel, sorry. Angel, you said, how do I check in? There's a check-in thread inside of the Facebook group. So every single day at about 9 a.m., I post the check-in thread there so that you can go and post and either like some people, like for day 1, for instance, like just showed pictures of the groceries that they bought. So like you can still go do that now. If you like have your groceries, whatever, pull some stuff out of the fridge and make it up and say like, here's all the stuff that I bought. And you can post a picture there, or just give us a little list of what you bought for this week. And same thing. So like for today, if it's smoothies, you can post a picture of the smoothie. You can post a picture of your, like, I can post a picture of this because I actually have my shake right here that I'm going to have right after this. So you can post a picture of that, or just any of your thoughts or feedback. So just posting on the check-in threads counts as a check-in. If you're not sharing on social, for those of you guys, because like I said, we're streaming to YouTube as well right now. And I know some of you guys will be watching the replay later. For those of you guys who aren't on social, you can check in under the video inside of the portal. So every single day, there is a video of the day and you can check in there. So, and just say like, yeah, I did it. And because actually I saw Donna's post yesterday where she kind of gave her feedback about the pre-planning and how, there was a learning curve for her. So we are making sure that everybody has a way to participate. I know in the past we have kept these challenges strictly to Facebook, and you guys have emailed sharing your thoughts on that and how you don't like being left out. And so we are constantly trying to make sure that we have ways for everyone to be included, because I know that everybody comes across this journey in different ways. So if you find us via like blog or YouTube or something like that, and you're just on the email list, you got the email about the challenge, and then we're like, hey, go to Facebook, and you're not on Facebook. I know that's no fair, but it's okay. So our YouTube fam, love you guys. Thank you for joining. And Facebook fam, I am here with you guys in the group checking on the posts. Angel, if you're not already inside of the group, go ahead and pop in there. And like I said, you can post on day 1 and 2 now, and you'll get 2 entries into the next giveaway, as well as however many you post from here on out. So congratulations, Donna, for winning today's challenge. And if you guys have any questions, just leave them below or post them in the group. And I will be in and out all day long, cheering you guys on and making sure that you snuck in your protein today somehow, some way. I'm going to sneak mine in right now before my next call, because I have an actual coaching call with a client right after this. So I'm going to stuff my face and hop on that. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you in the group.